We're live.
We're live. Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, Rachelle, thank you for doing this.
Anytime.
Obviously, it's I know we're all having a bit of fun here,
Yes.
but
Yeah, have to.
yeah. Okay, let's get going. So, tell us what your role is in at DORE Property Management.
So currently my role is that of a general manager. So What does that mean? So ultimately what it means is I look after all of our different departments and teams.
Yep.
I help them with customer service issues, gaining efficiencies in each of the departments, as well as playing sort of a key role in between the departments, making sure the communication between them all is working well.
Yep.
And then obviously we are still in business, so we look after the growth of the company.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so internally, we're set up in three main groups, three main departments.
Yes.
So why don't we delve into the three, right?
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So prominently, since we're a property management company, the first department is our leasing team. We have a phenomenal group of ladies that do everything and anything that has to do with leasing, whether it's talking to potential new tenants, posting the properties online, anything to do with the leasing portion of our business, they look after from front to back.
Yep.
We then have our
and they exclusively do that.
That's all they do.
Right?
Yeah,
so
they do nothing else.
They're not involved in anything else. Their main 100% role is just making sure property is
correct.
rented.
That's their priority, and that's the way we've set ourselves up across each department. Is we want them to stay focused at what they're good at doing.
Yeah.
So that way they do an amazing job every single time.
Yeah.
And that way the quality and the customer service is the exact same experience for everybody.
Yep.
It's not like, oh, I got this person so it was better, or I got this one. Every single tenant, every single owner that is involved in leasing gets the exact same experience every time.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really important.
Yeah.
So our second team is our sort of operations and service team.
Yeah.
So this team is responsible for all of our service calls that come in, communication to the tenants from condo corporations. If owners have requests for property inspections or anything like that, they're responsible for that whole process. What I like to call them is our communication gurus. So if you think about a wheel, they're that center spoke in the wheel. They're responsible for communicating with the tenants, the owners, the contractors and vendors, condo corporations, insurance companies, everybody and anybody. They're that central piece of communication. So they do all of the communicating through the whole process and make sure everybody is up to date along the way.
Right.
Then we've got our business development team, who is strictly responsible for getting new properties for us to manage, as well as tenant locating properties. And they work alongside you with new builds and construction for lease up and things like that. But that's what they stay focused on.
Yep.
And then obviously, same as any other business, we have our management and admin team that looks after all of our accounting processes, administration, and things like that.
Yeah, perfect. And obviously in our business, there's a lot of stakeholders. Obviously, we're not typically, just a company that sells a product or service. We're third party in many of these, or sometimes fourth party in many of these situations. So maybe let's hit the different, different interests of the people. So obviously we're hitting people who own properties.
Correct.
We're looking after tenants, the people who live in the properties. We're looking after the people who fix the properties and maintain the properties. And in some cases, we look after the people that the condo corporations look after taking care of the properties, right?
Correct.
So maybe just give us a bit of how that focus, works in terms of these different.
And for us, as anybody can imagine, in our role, we're a service industry, and we walk a very fine line, and that's typically what we like to tell people. We're very transparent in what we do. But we also walk a fine line because we treat our investors and property owners as they're our customers and clients. We treat our tenants the exact same way.
Yep.
Our subcontractors or contractors, like the specialty guys that are appliances, roofers, anything that's certified, we treat them the exact same way. And we treat the condo corporations or any of the other ones. So when we talk about stakeholders, they're all equal. In doing so, we've built amazing relationships across the board. It allows for better communication, less misunderstanding, and it makes sure that we are providing the right service to every single party. We don't favor one over the other, and that's what it's allowed us to be successful.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, with all of these different interactions happening every day, obviously, efficiency is something we always like to try to nail down and see and question our processes or steps or tasks. So talk to us maybe a bit about some of the efficiencies we brought to the table, say if we go back a couple of years.
So if we go back 5 years, let's say 5 years.
Because obviously, let's put this in perspective. Anybody looking at this at this stage here, we've been in business for almost 25 years. And obviously, when I was doing this at the beginning, everything was being done manually. So clearly, from step by step, we've come a long way. But even the last few years, and I think COVID played a role in fast tracking some of these changes that perhaps were coming, but they just made us that much more efficient. So maybe just discuss a few of the efficiencies that were brought to the table.
A lot of the things that we did over time, it's sort of a gradual process, right? But obviously, the first step was getting rid of paper. And that's a natural sort of progression. Was being able to do things online, signing documents online, and doing a lot of the communication online or on our cell phones by text message, and that's really sort of increased over the last several years. Now it's considered common practice, where it wasn't if you take a look 7 or 8 years ago. So that was some of the things that we did. But I think the bigger thing that we did is we literally, stepped outside of the business and we took a look at the whole business from, I'll give you an example. I'm the tenant. What do I do? What's my process? What do I see? And we actually worked our way back. So we said, what's the optimum? So if we have a potential new tenant, the optimum for me, if I was a tenant, would be to, look at a property, find out more information, go see it, put my application in, get it rented, right? So how can we do that? So we looked at what's the end result we wanted, and we worked our way back. So everything that we put into place, we made sure that it was the exact same every time. So sort of the golden rule that we used was, if we can get 90% of it the exact same way, then it's the right direction. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule as long as they don't become the rule.
That's right.
So we did that for every single department, every single process that we did, which allowed us to gain efficiencies. Our customer service and satisfaction went up greatly. And then I think the other key role is every team member was willing to use technology to our advantage. Obviously, sometimes, using a new software, new technology at first is scary, a lot of hand holding, but everybody was willing, which was the key. And we use it to our advantage wherever we can. If we can get the system to do it automatically, so we don't have to manually do it ourselves every single time, that's what we do.
So, we're not afraid of technology here.
No, absolutely not. I'll give you an example, is even our general contractors that are out on the road. So these are the guys that are fixing your toilets, your cabinets. They're typically what you would call blue collar workers. Even our guys out on the roads use their cell phones and the technology. They can live, report back to us exactly what is happening. They've got all of the data and information in front of them. They complete the work. They do an update. That information is live. So the team members back here at the office get it right away. So there's no delay. There's no uploading, downloading, and doing those kinds of things. And it allows us to do more. Which is critical. And if those guys on their iPhones can fill out a report and hit send and their day is done, they're happy. There's no paperwork for them. There's no timesheets, all of those usual things that you would find in the business. So even our general contractors on the road love it.
And we, obviously we're very, very like-minded in terms of, if there's anything that we can use technology to do, we want to take advantage of it, right?
Absolutely.
And I know we're still in the infancy stage at this stage, but I'm exploring with artificial intelligence for a lot of these different things. We've tried a few things, didn't work out the way we wanted to, but we're not afraid to take advantage of technology to see if we can serve, we can serve our people properly. And if we don't need, obviously we'd like to prefer to keep our resources to deal with stuff that technology can't deal with. So if technology can do it for us, then obviously we're big proponents about taking advantage of it and seeing how we can take it.
And that's one of the things that you always say to the team, right? Is it's about the mindset, right? We don't look at technology as far as replacing. Technology adds for us. So for example, one of the things that I hear most often in other businesses, well, if the technology does it, that means we don't need the people. Not true. We want the people working on those things that we need people working on. I don't need somebody to send a follow-up email
That's right.
3 times a week to the same person, we can let the system do that.
Yep.
I want, for example, like the leasing team to be focused on going out and showing a property.
Right.
That's where I need somebody.
Right.
I don't need somebody sitting at their desk doing follow-ups because they haven't heard back yet.
Right.
So for us, it allows us to do more of what we need to do to provide good customer service. Let the system do the mundane.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting because we just earlier we had a discussion about a new technology that we're bringing in, and one of the contractors said, "Well, when this works, you'll be able to cut out some people." And I said, "No.
Correct. Yeah.
No. If we can give you that tool to be able to serve people more efficiently, our what our goal is to keep growing to a point where we'll always need the right people on. So anybody listening to this, we're always looking for the right people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Anytime that some of the people we've brought on board are people that we weren't necessarily looking for anybody, but we saw the quality, we decided to take advantage of it, right?
Yeah, it's always about the right fit.
That's right.
Especially when you're dealing with a team. We're a close-knit team. But yeah, for us, it's, we've been very lucky. We've built ourselves a very strong foundation.
Yeah.
And what this allows us to do is to grow and adapt quickly.
Yeah.
And that's what's allowed us to be very successful in what we do.
Yeah. And we'll need it because the next few years, some big changes coming.
Absolutely. It was actually kind of funny. I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and they're, I hadn't spoken to them in a while because they don't live in Canada. Yeah. And they said, "Oh, how are things going at Doré? You've now passed your 5-year mark." And I said, "You know what? We more than doubled our size, and in the first 5 years, we're going to do it again in my second 5."
Oh yeah, probably more than that actually.
Let's hope.
Yeah. With what's being worked on, it'll likely be more than that. So with all these changes, technology, the push that we do, and so on and so forth, talk to us about turnover. Obviously we deal with people. This is not everybody's cup of tea when you start moving, and
so for sure. Yeah. So I'd have to say we have a very low turnover. And there's a couple of factors of that. Mostly we've been, even this year, we've added a couple of new personnel to our team, but it's because of our growth. And that's the best new hires to bring in is when the company is growing. And we don't wait to the last minute. And I think that's a crucial part of what allows us to be successful. We don't wait to the point where our business is affected because we don't have enough staff.
That's right.
We're always thinking ahead to make sure that when we get, that point, that it doesn't become critical, that we have the new or additional personnel in so we can handle the volume. So that's very important to us. But the big thing is the culture that we've created here. Understanding that, especially sort of in the operations side of things, on that side of the fence, the team, anytime they hear from somebody, something's broken.
Of course.
And they're not happy, right? Yeah. So they're constantly dealing with that. But it's how they deal with it, the fact that the whole team works together to be successful. So they'll get the request goes out to the contractor calls the tenant gets it repaired, the owner or the property investor is notified of exactly what's going on live. Because it's so efficient and smooth, and everybody is aware of what's happening, the end result is the tenant's happy. So even though something is broken, the tenant and the owner are very happy with how quickly it resolved and efficiently and cost effective, because that's important to them as well, is being very cost effective. So even though we're dealing with that every day, it's about the team or the environment that we've created here at Doré. So we've created a culture where we can rely on each other. We can talk to each other. We can state suggestions. We're not pigeonholed in the role that we're in. We always try to work with each other's strengths. So if they, somebody shows us that they're really interested in sales or leasing and they're part of the service team, and we feel there's, we've got some extra room or movement happening, we're not afraid to make those changes. No. We always think about what's the best or what more can we do even for our own staff. So it's not always about just our clients. It's about our people as well. We've built a very trusting environment. We all trust each other, and every single person will jump in. Like if you say, I've got an issue, can somebody help me?
Nice, eh?
Or every single person will jump.
But
it's taken us a few years to build that.
But
we protect it.
Of course.
And we'll continue to protect it. Even when we bring on new people, we protect that environment that we've created, because it's the key reason we're so successful.
Because you want to make sure everybody's getting along. And I mean, I for many years, I call it the smile factor.
Yes.
And you've heard me say that a lot of times. Where, I'm all about growth and business and so on, but I'm very, very, specific about looking at people and seeing somebody doesn't look like
Happy.
everything's going well, right?
Mhm.
And that's a concern for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's and I mean, I think that's, I mean, I know I tell the team this as well, but for the audience looking at it as well,
Yep.
is our Google reviews
Yes.
reveal that.
Oh, they do.
Because when people look at Google reviews, obviously it's a third party validation about what the clients are thinking about us, and I'm always humbled when I see somebody taking the time to go on and post comments based on their experience. And sometimes they're negative, right? So sometimes they've had a bad experience, and obviously we all learn from that. And we all know that when those are brought up, we bring them up at the sales team, at the team level, depending on where the issue was, and try to address it if we can. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes it's just business.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look at those reviews, it's never just one department.
Correct.
Everybody plays a role, and I'm a big proponent of that. Obviously, is that when this happens, nothing happened on its own, because we'd had to, the marketing have had to work properly, and the first presentation had to work properly, and the owners had to be happy, then the sales team had to do a good job, and then once the sales team is going to do a job, then we do the move in, and then inspections, and the accounting, and the legal, and the leases, and the remittances, and then the ongoing communication, and obviously there's a lot of different people involved in doing that. And if one's off, then generally it affects everybody else, right? So when you see those reviews come in where they point out that the experience was great, that means that typically everything at the forefront was done properly. So
absolutely, they're my favorite to see.
Yeah.
Because then the team is working together.
That's right.
And that, again, that's what allows us to be successful.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, we can't make everybody happy.
No.
But the big thing that we always say as a team is, anything that comes in as far as a negative review, whatever, these are learning experiences for us.
Of course.
We take a look at it and how can we improve?
Right.
How can we make it better for our tenant or our owner or whoever the issue is with?
Yep.
As you said, sometimes there's nothing we can do.
That's right.
But if we can make that change or improvement, we absolutely will.
That's
because
right.
it doesn't just benefit the person that put in the complaint. It's going to benefit everybody after them.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So no, those are a lot of fun. So
they're my favorite.
So I know you and I can go on because we love to do this.
Yep.
Any macro parts perhaps that I've missed in this, or
no? I think overall it's you get what you see with us, right? Yep. We're very transparent in what we do, whether it be advertising, marketing, or the services that we provide. We're not one to BS or look for extra business because we want extra business. I think exactly. It's about finding the right tenants for the right properties.
Right.
So for us, it's not about gaining volume. It's about providing that world-class service.
That's right.
Whether it's our tenant, our investors, even our vendors that work for us.
That's right.
And we'll never do something that doesn't allow us to say we're providing world-class service.
Exactly.
So I think, if you take a look at the company overall, that's the big thing.
No, exactly.
It's one of those companies that at the end of the day, you're proud to work for.
Yep.
You're proud to rent from.
Yep.
And you're proud that they're managing your property on your behalf.
Yeah, no. And
that's
what we aim to do.
Exactly.
We're regular people trying to do the right thing.
Yep,
right? So,
100%.
Yeah. Hey, Rachelle, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing this.
No problem. Have a great day.
Thanks.